Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me on a beautiful day here at the Nürburgring on the Black Series tour. We have had the most incredible luck with the weather during this adventure, since departing from London going via Paris to Stuttgart, the home of Mercedes-Benz, to AMG in a Falterback, and then of course to the Nürburgring with sunshine every single day. But today we're here at Opus with the dyno to start some upgrade work on the GT Black Series. I've been talking a little bit about this, and today I'm going to explain what we're going to be doing. We'll pop the car onto the dyno to see exactly how much power it makes stock so that we have a comparison with what it is like afterwards. But we're also going to be putting the C63 Black Series and the SLS Black Series up onto the ramps to take a proper look at them, just to check over both cars really, with extensive modifications, having now done quite a few miles to make sure all is running as it should be. Plus we have a few other things in the works, but obviously this out on the Nürburgring has been extraordinary. I can't begin to imagine what it's going to be like with a little bit more noise and potentially a little bit more power. The cars are all lined up like this because we've been taking a few photos with all of the scenery around at the moment this time of year, hey, particularly with the Solarbeam on the GT Black Series. I've also just popped back in the front splitter now that we're going to be driving the car out on the road again. They're all completely splattered in bugs. The diamond white doesn't really help very much with that, so we'll have to get them cleaned up. And then we're also going to be making the plan from here as to what we're going to be taking home. We've got the G63 out here as well, and how we're going to do this. But first up, we need to get that onto the ramp to take a look at the underside of it, but also because you need to remove parts of the diffuser in order to strap it down so that you can actually pop it onto the dyno. First up comes the stock sound, which, as we know from this car, is not particularly exciting. That's one of the things. It does not sound how it looks. It never has. Obviously regulation rules, etc, etc. But the Solarbeam paint does look absolutely stunning in the sunshine. That I can certainly confirm. This car it's so cool. The pictures of it on the Nürburgring are just mega. Right, so that needs to go inside onto the lift effectively to have parts of the diffuser removed so that it's possible. Wow, you can see how much undercar aero there is. This will be fascinating actually when it's lifted up, and obviously we'll take a look at the parts that are going to be replaced. We'll have a look at some of the new parts, but fascinating to see all the aero as well that it has on the underside of this thing. Up it goes, and this is where I can show you what it's like underneath with all of these aero pieces that you can see, especially at the back. Actually, this will all be much clearer when it's fully up in the air. Look at this. There's so much going on under here. This is where I'm going to sneak underneath. Oh wow, so it's cool to see all the components immediately, but look at these. These are what cause me problems with speed bumps in London. All of these pieces of plastic that scrape over just about everything, and back here as well. At least they're kind of soft, not going to cause too much of a problem. With the car up on the ramp, we also have some parts to take a look at, but we are of course joined here at Opus with Lucas.
Good morning, nice to see you again.
Likewise, it's good to finally have my Black Series here.
Yeah, finally. I mean, it's impressive to see the car in this color, especially when it was still sitting outside in direct sunlight. This is when it shows the color the best. But yeah, congrats on this decision. I think it was definitely a good one.
Thank you. It looks really, really awesome. But I think we should talk a little bit more about the current stock setup, what we're going to be doing with it, and I guess a little bit more about it in general and how that links. We'll get to that in just a second.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, basically, it's still a GTR model. Is not so much different exhaust-wise, but as you can see, all the curtains and all the other things, like the support here being lighter, all the extra coverings, the diffuser is completely different, which we need to remove in order to get the car on the dyno so we can fix, you know, the straps. This is something we'll do in the next step. But coming back to the exhaust system, this is where most of the sound is being lost. These are the particulate filters on the European spec cars and some other countries in the world, while the US spec cars have a secondary cat here, and the front cats are not visible here. They are in the V of the engine.
Basically up inside there.
Yeah. Maybe it's even easier to understand it when we show it here. So here you would have the turbos. On the stock exhaust system you have the main cats here, which are monitored by this O2 sensor, and then you have the particle filters in this section. And this is kind of the system you've been showing, you know, shooting the flames.
Yes, when we came to the Dyno Run before.
Exactly. And on your car, since we want to have it street legal in the UK, we will make a custom system for you, which will have some nice large Euro 6 cats in the secondary part.
Okay.
So it's still full.
Still with cats, but it will certainly waken this up, because
yeah,
it doesn't sound as it looks. It needs something done to it.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, for the US spec cars and the customers in the US, there will be also another version. It's just being finalized, where a huge cat will be sitting in this section here. So people who don't even want to retune the car for now, so you know, it's just a plug and play solution then for those people.
Fascinating, cool. I guess for the time being then, the diffuser needs to come off and then get this around to the dyno.
Yep. Okay.
The diffuser panel is now removed, and in here, have a look at this, with the standard exhaust obviously that we have. You can see the pipe work and how it goes through the back box for one set of the pipes, and then the other effectively bypasses that and skips straight around. And obviously there's all of the heat shielding and the carbon fiber pieces that you have under here, which all look very, very nice. So in a second, this will come down and head to the dyno side. All done for now, ready to come back down to the ground. It'll be interesting to see what happens with tires, because these Cup 2Rs do not have a whole lot of tread. They are very cool tires, as we've taken a look at before with that graphic on the side, but I imagine I'll get through quite a few sets of these over time. Off goes the Solarbeam beast, out back into the sunshine, back into daylight. G-Wagon just chilling here with the guys. That color is so nice. This trio is so cool. So my car is going to come round here into the dyno room, exactly where we had the DCAT GT Black Series for testing purposes recently, which was popping fireballs out the back just here, which obviously this is not going to do, but it will still be quite spectacular to see, and it'll be fascinating to see exactly what numbers it gives us and what the final power figures are from my GT Black Series. Simultaneously then, the C63 is going to head in onto the ramp. That bark. That sounds so much better, doesn't it, than the newer engines. This is going to head into the ramp so that we can take a look underneath, first time really, to see exactly what this car has, because it's not a standard setup. As we knew when buying it, I took away the original components. We want to have a proper look at it and, you know, get to the bottom of any potential future problems with these kind of things. It's hard to know, what's been done, what tuning it has, etc. So we'll have a look at that in a second. Let's come and take a look then at what we've got here. So what are we looking at?
Obviously, slightly modified exhausts. Yeah, it's been modified in this section. Normally you have the secondary cats here. While
this is all stock, right?
Yeah, this is all stock, so these are the original catalytic converters. Well, I'm assuming they are stock. I can't have a look inside, but it looks like they have been not modified. So they have been removed. And here, this job doesn't look as nice as the one here. The resonator has been removed. So on this car, you have normally a connection inside the resonator between both cylinder banks. And the way it's made now, you have no X-pipe, no H-pipe, so there is no connection between both cylinder banks, and this is why the car sounds so aggressive. It's a similar setup to the G63 that, it's obviously different. It is different because you don't have side pipes here, but yeah, apart from that.
And then the back is all the standard.
Yeah,
standard mufflers.
Exactly. The rear mufflers are original. I mean, performance-wise, there is no issue with that one. Could have been done with a little bit more welding love, but okay.
What else do we have going on then?
Well, obviously,
this isn't right.
A missing screw, a little bit oil here and there. I mean, it's a used car, so I would just take down the covers and see where the oil is coming from and which seal it might, affect, because it should be cleaned up and checked. But it looks good.
Yeah, not too bad. And the car's done, I think, 32,000 kilometers, so.
Yeah, but even if it's, on these cars, even if they have less mileage, at some point, some of the seals might get you know, old, and you see some oil sweating through here and there. So yeah, it's not dripping or anything. I think it's in a proper condition because already it's like nearly 10 years old, right?
Yeah, true. Crazy. Everything is now strapped down. Some test runs have been made. As you can hear, the car is running away. We've got the fans blowing. Don't expect this to be the loudest, most exciting sound in the world. Time to go for a second run. Give this a go. That does sound slightly wrong. So the stock cracks don't sound too bad, do they? But it will sound a lot better before too long. The numbers are in.
Huge numbers.
Huge, huge, huge numbers. What are we looking at?
776.
Stock is officially 730.
Yeah, well, maybe I should explain one thing.
Yes.
So obviously, as explained in some other videos before by myself, the manufacturers always have to make sure the cars have the power even under worse conditions than today. It's cold, you have proper fuel inside the car, then you end up with a much better performance than when you would measure the car in the UAE at 40 degrees Celsius. So for those who think maybe the dyno is off or something like that, that's definitely not the case. Clutch power means power at the engine, so it's crank horsepower and crank torque. For those interested in this, we can also show the power at the wheels. It's 710 corrected EEC. This is the normation factor, depending on well, ambient pressure, temperature, and also some other things. And in this case, if I go to the torque, it's the same. So even the wheel torque is higher than the torque specified by.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 800 Newton meters.
Yeah. So it's definitely, no matter how, even under worst case scenarios, you can see that the car has way more power than it should have, because it's already showing corrected 710 and uncorrected, I bet it's around 700. So power uncorrected, this is exactly how this was measured. It's still nearly
692.
Yeah, 692. It's nearly 700 wheel horsepower.
Yeah, whatever you do when you've added the drivetrain losses, that's way over the stock 730.
Definitely. But, you know, we've seen it on the other cars as well. So typically they have 760 something, but in this case it's 770 something. I mean, okay, if we do a second or third measurement, it could be 3 horses less or more, but yeah.
So this thing makes a serious amount of power, and that's the stock setup. That's the completely stock run.
Exactly.
Insane. After just popping out for a quick bite to eat, there has been a swap around, and the C63 Black Series is now here on the dyno for a run, which is going to be fascinating because firstly, it is of course a car that is basically a decade old. It is now 9.5 years old, which means you might expect a small loss of power. It's covered just over 20,000 miles or so. But obviously with the modifications and potentially an engine map of some description, it might be a little bit different, and we're trying to work out exactly the story of the car, and one part of that process is to pop it on the dyno and get some actual numbers, and it's going to sound insane in the process. A few little test runs to get a feel for the RPMs. The first run, but now we go for another one, then we'll get some numbers. That sounds mental. That sounds sound is mad. Let's come and take a quick look then up on the big screen here what we've got. So 510 horsepower, 585 newton meters. The claimed figures are 517 and 620, but big naturally aspirated engine, you'd always expect to lose a little bit of torque. So I think pretty much about where we would expect this car to actually have ended up, which I suppose is a good thing. No major losses or anything funny going on there, just pretty much where you would expect this engine to land up. On this side then, the first thing I've got to say is that even looking up at the SLS like this, it looks incredibly cool. The shape of this thing, the way you have this kind of curved line over the top and just the small bubble of the canopy looks immense. Underneath here is genuinely fascinating. It is so clean and tidy still, despite having done a lot of miles since we did all of these upgrades originally with Lucas at Opus. But one thing that's interesting is I'm going to leave the car out here for some things that I've got planned ahead, but also given how this has been used so much, obviously a lot of high-speed running, a lot of laps on the Nürburgring, the team are going to look at installing some additional heat shielding around the headers and sections up here to work a little bit more on the cooling effectively and keeping everything in check. But fascinating always to see. Underneath we had some issues before with some beams and had to have a new rear drive shaft before this trip as well. A couple of other things. Obviously it's a slightly older car, but still doing a lot of miles with it. And no doubt going to do a lot of further miles in the future as well. So we're going to leave that here along with the GT Black Series. And our journey home will be with the C and the G-Wagon. This is pretty much where we're going to leave things for today then, here with Opus. When we head home from the Nürburgring, we will be taking the C63 Black Series and also the G63. The GT Black Series, as I've said, is going to be staying here for a number of those upgrades, and I'm looking forward to catching up with that again, probably in 2 or 3 weeks' time, because of my own travel arrangements and when I can get back out here. The SLS Black Series will stay here as well, just to look over everything and potentially for some more things coming up next. The C63 Black Series, there are some more things I would like to do with this. Bucket seats, a few other refurbishment type things, paint work, some relacquering of some carbon, new parts here and there. So maybe that comes back out at some point in the future as well. And the G63 is running really very well. That's now done, I think, about must be 17,000 miles, 27,000 kilometers, something like that. But these two AMGs ready to go home, those two AMGs staying out with Opus for the time being, and then plenty more things to come, of course, in the future with all of the Black Series. But amazing to get the GT on the dyno and see quite how much power it actually makes, to get the C63 on the dyno and to see that it hasn't lost all that much at all, and basically just to run over all of the cars and check all is well after what has been quite a grueling Black Series tour. Of course, the weather has been very much on side, but the cars have been doing Nürburgring laps, Autobahn blasts, and just generally getting some good miles on them, which is exactly what they're for. For today, though, a big thanks to Lucas and the team here with Opus. I cannot wait for the GT Black Series, and it's been great today to run over them all. But that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your support. As always, guys, it is hugely appreciated. But that is it for this time, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!